Hello everyone and welcome to my 6th lesser known but awesome heroes video. And today I'm going to be taking a look at another Jack Kirby character. This character was created in the early 1970s along with the entire Fourth World comic book series. I am going to be talking about Orion, probably the most well-known of all the New Gods characters. Orion has a very cool origin, in my opinion. Basically, he was the second son of Darkseid, and he is brothers to both Kalibak and Graven. However, in an effort to establish a truce between the warring worlds of New Genesis and Apocalypse, Darkseid decided to create an ultimatum with Highfather, and what he decided to do was that they both agreed to trade each other's sons. Highfather traded Scott Free, who would go on to become Mr. Miracle, to Darkseid, and Darkseid would trade Orion. Now, Orion was sort of an outcast on New Genesis because of the evil, malicious blood that ran through his veins. Being the son of an absolutely evil SOB like Darkseid, it had its effects on him because he inherited a lot of the same anger issues and just sort of the same barbaric fury that, Darkseid and the powerful denizens of Apocalypse are known for. However, Highfather, as well as many friends of his on New Genesis, such as Lightray, Becca, Forager, Metron, Barda, all those characters, they were all very close to Orion, and they helped him to curve his anger and direct it into his combat skills, making him literally the mightiest warrior in all of New Genesis. And the fact that he shared the same blood as many of the denizens of Apocalypse gave him an edge that none of the other highly trained forces of New Genesis possessed, and thus making him the ideal general to lead the army of New Genesis against any battle against the forces of Apocalypse. And of course, he also earned the nickname the Dog of War. That's pretty much Orion's origins right there. Both the pre-Crisis and post-Crisis versions of Orion have pretty much the same backstory and origin. However, the post-Crisis version of Orion wasn't really established into the New Earth continuity until 2000, whenever legendary Thor writer Walter Simonson would actually write a 25-issue series dedicated to Orion and the rest of the New Gods. In this series really developed Orion's character a whole lot, in the fact that he managed to finally get his hands on the one thing that has been the object of Darkseid's obsessions for his entire comic book history, and that is the anti-life equation. With the anti-life equation in his possession, Orion was able to travel to Earth and make Earth into a perfect, peaceful, utopian society, completely devoid of war and conflict of any type. But the rest of the universe was suffering a whole lot because the perfection that happened on Earth disrupted the balance of the whole universe. None of this was actually real, though. It was actually an illusion created by the new god Metron, who was trying to teach Orion the consequences and repercussions of what might happen if Orion, or basically anybody, came into possession of the anti-life equation. And that if all that was to happen, if Orion found the anti-life equation, just imagine what would happen if Darkseid finally got his hands on it. So because of this, Orion became a lot more humble, and he became a lot more, shall we say, selfless. If both Orion and fellow new god Big Barda would actually become prominent members of the Justice League of America, serving sort of as ambassadors from New Genesis to represent New Genesis on the League. Orion and Barda's tenure in the Justice League of America was kind of short-lived when they had to defeat an evil god named Megadon. During this whole battle, both Orion and Barda ran into some trust issues with a few of the other Justice League of America members, and because of this, after Megadon was defeated, they both resigned to the Justice League and they kind of disappeared back to New Genesis. However, Orion would come back a bunch of years later to engage in one final battle with his father, Darkseid. In this battle, Orion would fulfill a prophecy of finally destroying his own father by ripping his heart out, creating a large chest cavity in Darkseid's sort of chest that was very reminiscent of one of the fire pits of Apocalypse, sort of destroying Darkseid in an ironic and poetic fashion. At the time, it looked like Darkseid was gone for good, and Orion's work had been done. During the events of Final Crisis, the supervillain known as Libra would actually resurrect Darkseid and reincarnate him in the form of a human, calling himself Boss Darkseid. Now, Boss Darkseid would find a special type of gun that could fire bullets with the ability to travel through the space-time continuum. He fired this gun, and the bullet would travel all the way through time, and it would eventually kill Orion. When Orion was mortally wounded, he found Dan Turpin and told him that Darkseid, as well as a whole bunch of evil new gods from Apocalypse, were taking possession of several human beings, telling Turpin that they were all among the human race. But he also told Turpin to fight, to resist Darkseid's invasion. And that's really the end of Orion. He was killed, but then, ironically enough, John Stewart would actually find the gun that Darkseid used to kill his own son and give it to Batman, who would then shoot Darkseid with the very same gun. So in a sense, Darkseid sort of committed suicide in a really complicated sort of way. And that's really all that there is to talk about Orion. Orion is often considered to be the most well-known of all the New Gods characters. In a sense, you could almost call him the main character of the entire series. If there's one thing that I've always found interesting about Orion is that he was raised in a society that valued pacifism and peace, whereas he was born from really evil, savage, barbaric roots. And he spent his whole life training to control his anger and his blood rage, to sort of tame that evil, savage side of him that was more prominent in his father, Darkseid. And that's one of the things that makes Orion such a compelling and great character. Well, everybody, this has been my 6th Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes videos. I've got 3 more on the way, and be sure to stay tuned to Sly Cooper 88's channel for the remaining 2 Supervillains Explored videos. I'll see you guys later. Take care.